So it's been great. We've been here all week. We've had a lot of fun, and it's been a thrill for us to work in world-famous Deadwood, South Dakota. And of course, you know, we have a little bit of history here because we did work in Rapid City several years ago and suggested they do a thing called Main Street Square and get their downtown going, and it has worked extremely well for them. So can we do something in Deadwood? So it's going to start right here, right now, and we're going to have some fun. And it's connected, great. We are going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing, a little bit about what all this branding stuff is about, and why we are doing this. And then number one is to really put Deadwood on the map as one of America's best and premier destinations. Not South Dakota, not the West, America's best and premier destinations. You know what, if you talk about Old West, you can think about Tombstone and Deadwood. I mean, how many people are going to Abilene, Kansas because Wild Bill was the sheriff there? See what I mean? So just in your name, there's no reason why you can't be one of America's best destinations. Number two is to educate visitors that Deadwood is easily worth a multi-day stay. You know, I think what happens to a lot of people coming to the Black Hills, well, we're going to spend a couple hours at Mount Rushmore. We'll spend a couple hours at Crazy Horse. We'll drive through Custer State Park. We might head over to, Waldrug if they want to go that far. Or, we got to drive into Sturgis. Even if the rally's not going on. And so what happens is you're all full of these little day trips. We've seen it this week. This is July. And we see a lot of people here. And, at about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, there's a parade leaving town. And the one reason why this is important is because if you can get people to spend 2 hours spending doubles, if you can get them to spend the night, it quadruples. So sometimes success isn't how many people you bring in, it's how long you get them to stay. And I'll bet you that 95% of the people, we didn't do any surveys, but I'll bet you 95% of the people, they come into Deadwood because they've heard of Deadwood. Whether it's the HBO series or whatever. They drive in, they get out of their car, they walk up and down Main Street, they open the doors, they see slot machines, they say, well, our kids can't go in there, you know what I mean? And that's all they see. Even us, we've been here several times, and I was here in February and secret shopped you. We learned so much more this week, it was jaw-dropping. Because we had no idea that we'd see Herbie in the Celebrity Hotel, or all those guitars, or the Kevin Costner collection, or all of those other things. And so it's just amazing what you have here. So that's number two. Number three is to showcase Deadwood as more than just a casino town. Because when you drive between Rapid City this way, or coming the other way from Spearfish, you know what happens is we are inundated with casino billboards. And I'm not faulting them at all. But that's all they see. They don't see any other side of Deadwood. And so what's happened is over time is you've come into this conundrum where are we about the Wild West or are we about casinos? Or can we somehow be a little more balanced? See what I mean? And so that's another conundrum that people have. And number four, to tell the world about Deadwood's incredible hidden gems. And you've got them in spades. When you walk into the Mountain Grand, and you see those concrete walls that are 10 feet thick. And I had no clue until yesterday about that. I had no clue until Bill House took us out on a tour the other night that you had all the whole Kevin Costner collection and all these things you got. You know what? Your whole downtown is a museum. You could walk almost to any place and see the old photographs and everything. So we don't have to go to the Adams House. By the way, I want you to do that. But it's everywhere. People don't know it. So that's number four. Number five, to slow the leakage of locally earned money elsewhere. It's pretty sad when you ask locals where they go hang out and they say, well, we head to Spearfish, we head to Rapid, we had, somewhere else. Wouldn't it be cool? Did you know that within a 15-mile radius of Deadwood, you have 30,000 people? So forget the 1,200 that live here. 30,000, whether it's Lead, Spearfish, the other town, Sturgis, the other towns, 30,000 people. Wouldn't it be great if they hung out in Deadwood rather than you hanging out there. Wouldn't that be great? That's how you slow the leakage. And then number 6 is to strengthen local businesses and attract new business investment. This, you need jobs. And we need, in some ways, better jobs. And so that's economic development, and that's what tourism is about. And so that's one of our focuses. So we have 10 of these to do a much better job of telling the Deadwood story. Here's something I will say, and I will stand by this. You're only at 20% of your potential. 20%. You know what I told our group this week, our brand development team? I said, I think Deadwood is mildly successful in spite of itself. And sometimes, this is why I don't have any hair left. Sometimes you take somebody from the outside to stir the pot, because you just can't rest on your laurels. You were the 3rd casino town in the United States. Well, now guess what? 48 of 50 states have gaming. And so you got to tell the story better. And I'm not just talking about your street performers, your reenactments, the shootouts and things. I'm talking about when we walk in anywhere. You got to do a better job telling the stories, And so that's something you have to do. And then number 8 is to deliver on the expectations we have of Deadwood. Here is the big conundrum. People are coming here because they've seen the series or they hear Deadwood, it's right up there. Whoa, cool. And, and I got to tell you, we went to the 2 o'clock shootout the other day. And there was probably 50 kids there, 250 people lined up on the sidewalks and everything. And the actors come out and rather than have the microphone on their back where he could just reach in his coat, click it off, pulls it out of his coat, clicks it off. See what I mean? And all of a sudden you took us right out of 1876. And so here's, where do you bridge the gap between what people expect, what they want, and what you give them? So in the name of historical correctness, we do a shootout where the 2 main characters can't hit each other, and so they shoot another guy in the leg by accident. And here's what I noticed. At the very end, the people were kind of like, see what I mean? So that's one of your challenges is, do we give them what they want, or do we make it totally historically accurate? And so this is one of those things you have to do. And then can we raise the bar just a bit? And I think you need to do that. And I'm not just talking about them. I'm just talking about the whole city, the whole town. Can you raise the bar? And then number 9 is to make Deadwood experience easier and more convenient to do. Make it easy for us to find your parking. Make it easier for us to get from historic Main Street across the highway without people. I've seen ladies in strollers literally running across the highway to get over to the visitor center and to the Adams and all the other museums and attractions you have over there. Because Deadwood isn't just about Main Street. And then finally, to get everyone on the same page pulling in the same direction, you need to have a focus. And so those are the 10 things we're trying to accomplish. So when it comes to this whole branding thing, there are 2 types of brands. There's the feel-good brand that would say, come to Deadwood, it's a great place to live, work, and play. Which, by the way, 4,000 cities and towns use. It doesn't make you different. Then there's the economic development brand. What do we do to import more cash into Deadwood? Isn't that the bottom line? That is what we're trying to do. And so, this is about cash. You know what? It's not about visitors. Ashland, Oregon only has 400,000 visitors a year. But you know what? They have a Shakespeare festival, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, that runs 6 days a week, 9 months of the year, and the average visitor spends 4 nights. That is success. It's about cash, not visitors. And so you got to monetize everything you do. And that is the balance of trade. You know what? Just like a business. If a business spends more than it brings in, guess what? It doesn't last long. By the way, right now today, there are more ghost towns in the making in the United States today than ever before in U.S. history. You don't want to be on that list. And you won't. because that's not the Old West we want, is the ghost town. And so here's the 10 things you need to know about branding. And then we're going to show you what we did and what we've been doing over the last several months. Is number one, branding is the art of differentiating what sets you apart from everyone else, besides Wild Bill and Calamity Jane. You know, I always struggled with the fact that Wild Bill was a respected sheriff. He moved here. He got engaged. He lived here a whole 2 months, was sitting there at a poker table at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Somebody come up and shot him in the head, and that's your history. Let's celebrate it. You know what I mean? But there's so much more than that. So I'm saying besides that, and by the way, we're not washing Wild Bill down the drain. But I think it's really important what sets you apart from everyone else, because there are lots of places that have casinos and slot machines now, card tables. Number two, a brand is a perception and a promise. It's what you think when you say Deadwood. You know what? I'll bet you can't find anybody that's ever heard of the word Deadwood is automatically going to think Wild West. And so we have a perception of you already. When we meet that perception, are we meeting that perception? I really struggled with Main Street when Dairy Queen went in. Totally took you out of character. And I'm not against Dairy Queen. But I'm just telling you, you know what I mean? It's a perception. Are you delivering on that promise that we have? Are you getting a step back in time? And here's how our perceptions are created. First of all, visual cues. When we first drive into Deadwood, from Interstate 90 all the way here, that's 7 miles, as we drive in, what are those first impressions? And then it's people and attitudes. I'll tell you, one challenge you have in Deadwood is hospitality training. You know, I've never seen a community. By the way, we've worked in 1,000 cities in 45 states, all across Canada, Western Europe. And considering your primary industry is far and away tourism, you know, I think you have a ways to go on living up to that. And so, people and attitudes, then word of mouth. What people say, what they're putting out there, and social media, the two kind of combined these days. Oh, it's just in Deadwood. I hope they're saying good things. And that is how perceptions create a brand. Then, number three, logos and slogans are not brands. Have you ever said, you know, let's head over to Spearfish. I think they have a really cool logo. Or have you ever said, you know, I really don't want to head down to Hill City because I think their logo sucks. It means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And by the way, I have no idea what Hill City's logo looks like. And so there you go. You're going to see a logo for Deadwood today. And they make up 2% of our brand. They get 98% of the political attention locally. We get focused on that. I can guarantee you one thing, there's going to be something else you're going to get focused on when I show you what we're doing. And it won't be the logo. But do you buy Reeboks over Nike because you think the Nike check mark, the swoosh, is a dumb logo? Do you buy one over the other because you like one logo better than the other? I mean, do you buy Chevy over Ford or vice versa because, boy, I really like that logo better than that one? See? Or do you ever say, gee, I like Pepsi more than Coke because I like blue better than red? Or I drink Coke because I think their logo's cooler than the Pepsi logo. So I don't want you to get hung up with that. Logos and slogans are not brands. So, number 4, you never use focus groups. We did have a brand development team. They were not a focus group. We had lots of emails with them, lots of conversations with them. That's why you have somebody here from the outside to keep that focus group. Because if we did a focus group, tried to make everybody in Deadwood happy, you know what your slogan would be? We're a great place to live, work, and play. Or we have something for everyone. You know what? Have you ever gone anywhere that had something for everyone? And so that's what's important. Number 5, a brand evokes emotion. It's a feeling someone has about you. And you're going to see some stuff that's going to raise your eyebrows. That's what we want. Because these days we're inundated with advertising, and so whatever you do, it better get some attention. It better be memorable. And that is very important. And number 6, all successful brands are built on product, not marketing. You know what? We could spend 10 times more money marketing Deadwood, but if we don't improve the product, they're going to come here once and say, I've been there and done it, and they'll never come back. The product has to be in place. And we're going to talk about that. And then number 7, you never roll out a brand. You're going to see some images today, some sample ads, the look and feel of it. But you know what? You're not going to use it this year. Because if we put something out there and we come here and it's not here, guess what? Because you know what? Deadwood has been the life of the party since 1876. But I'll tell you, last night walking downtown, I literally walked downtown, or the night before, I literally walked right down the middle of Main Street at 8 o'clock, and the only place that had people in it was Saloon Number 10. So if you say you're the life of the party, it better be here. See what I mean? No matter what we come up with. And so you don't roll out a brand. It's earned. Good or bad, it's earned. And number 8, you cannot do branding by public consent. We did ask. We got all your ideas. And then we picked the one that was the most feasible. Okay? Because we will never be, I guarantee you there'll be people leaving the room today going, well, I certainly don't like that. Because you'll never get everyone to agree until you water it down to something generic, period. So, you know, you cannot let local politics, that's why you have somebody from the outside facilitate this. By the way, we're not consultants, we're facilitators. Everything you say, you're going to see today, did come from people in your community. And we play devil's advocate with them. So there you go. I love this quote. A byproduct of brands for the people is the committee that compromises and kills a potential brand home run. This is why you never see statues of committees in public parks. You see brave leaders. That's what this is about. So, if you wanted to do this top down, and by the way, we had the mayor sit in there, we've had other commissioners sit in there, we've had city folks in Deadwood working on this, but you know what? This has been a grassroots effort. Almost everybody on our team has come from the private sector and our residents. But if you wanted to make this a public project, this is the way it worked. There'd be enthused, oh, that Brooks character came in and he talked to us, and we're really pumped up about doing this. We're really going to double the tourism revenues in Deadwood. It's going to be so cool. And then what there is the planning, which we've been doing this whole week, so we're getting everything ready. And then what's going to happen, there's disillusionment as the blogs start, and it's going to happen starting tomorrow morning. And people are going to say, well, I don't like that. I don't think that's who we should be, or we're alienated this group of people, or that's going to be the disillusionment. And then what happens is there's fear and panic, and then there's search for the guilty, punishment of the innocent, and finally praise and honors for the non-participants. Did I get that about right? So, of course, this would never happen in Deadwood. So, number 9, you build your brand on feasibility, not local sentiment. So we picked the brand that we think will be the most feasible you do, which means, yes, we might have to spend some money, but it'll create the greatest return on investment. And so, number 10, you build your brand through public relations. It's what people say of you. These days, you can rebrand a town in a matter of months with social media and advertising you use to maintain your ownership position. So there's the 10 things you need to know about branding. You know what's funny is we grabbed the comprehensive plan from 1990, almost 25 years ago. Here's what it said. Before marketing strategies can be formulated, Deadwood must identify its image. Is it a historical town that has some gaming as an element fun, or is it a gaming town that happens to be in a historical setting? Well, I'm just here to let you know that city's been a little bit slow on this, but 25 years later, we are going to answer that question. Right now, right here. So, there are only 3 killers of this branding effort. There's never 4, only 3. And they are local politics. And by the way, it's usually worse with membership organizations than it is with elected officials. Well, I belong to the chamber, and I don't agree with that, and I pay my chamber dues. You know what I mean? Local politics. You're in a town where everybody knows everybody. And so that's number one. Number two is lack of champions. And number three is lack of money, public and private, to make it happen. The reason lack of champions is there in yellow is because you have the right people to push this forward. They will get through the politics and they will make it happen. Lack of champions. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And so here we've been going through a 13-step process. You know, what's interesting is we've been doing this since 1981. And I always tell people, I feel sorry for the first couple hundred communities we worked with because we're finding our way. Since we've brought communities through this 13-step process, we have a 100% success rate. So, and by the way, we're going to be here working with you for the next 6 months. We're not the kind of people that sit there and say, here's a plan, good luck with it. Because we want this to happen. It took us a long time to develop this process, and it works. And so here it is. Number one, we start with a brand development committee. And Ron had some of them stand up, and this is our list of who was on it, and I hope we got all the spellings right and all the titles right. This was our core committee. And I want to let you know that this week, starting Tuesday morning, they met with us every morning from 8 to 10. They came back at 4 to 6 every single evening. And by the way, besides this group, we had probably another 20 guests come in over the week. So this was our core group, but we had lots of other people that were in here all week. So we've been here since Monday evening. Because you know what we're doing is we're developing this with you, not for you. That's a big difference. And so this was our core group. And you notice it's loaded with private sector. This is a grassroots effort. So we put that together. Number two thing we did is we asked you, this is your chance to weigh in on Deadwood's future. We asked you, there was an online survey. Now you heard me say you can't do it by public consent. We still have to ask. We want your input. We wanted your input. We got your input. As a matter of fact, we had 491 people weighed in. That's pretty good. That's more than a third of all the residents of Deadwood. So we asked you, plus we interviewed more than 65 people. We had conversations and emails and stuff over all the last several months. So what we did is we asked, and you guys gave us lots of feedback. We asked you what your 3 greatest challenges were, what you thought the 3 greatest assets were, what you want, where you go to hang out. We asked where you take, you know what was funny? When we asked you where you take people, when visitors come and visit you, almost universally they said, oh, we take them to Spearfish, we take them to Hill City, we take them to Mount Rushmore, we take them. Nobody said, well, I take them through all the museums and stuff right here in Deadwood. That's a problem. And so we did that. We did ask. And it's very, very important. Here's what we heard, and this is just a nutshell. Matter of fact, here's what we heard. This is, look at this thick. And by the way, look at all that. It's double-sided paper, by the way. This is all the comments we heard. Some of them are hilarious. And some of them stung. And so they wanted to address parking issues. They want more things to do besides gaming. We need more family-friendly activities. I mean, this is just a general, winter season is a major challenge. And history is Deadwood's most important asset. This is just a range area. Special events are great. We need even more. We recruit more quality, unique retail shops. Let me stop there for a second. Because we worked in Gatlinburg, Tennessee that had a similar problem as you. Gatlinburg, Tennessee used to be this incredible arts town. And over time, all of a sudden the gallery started to go away and we had more t-shirt shops and cheesy souvenirs and tattoo parlors in their case. And they go, Roger, what do we do? Do we create zoning ordinances to zone all that out? And he said, no, it's not the fault of the retailers there. That's your customers you're attracting. They had become a second-rate coupon destination. You know where I'm going? You need to stop it. If you want the highest spenders here, you need to be a first-class destination. It doesn't mean you have to be elite, but it may mean you need to raise the bar. And Black Hills residents hang out, so there you go. There's that. And then when friends and family visit, there's where you take them. So. And then finally, the brand direction of Deadwood should be its history. And so that's what we heard. So we did that. Number 3, who the heck are we trying to attract? So we even did that. Geographically, start with that. If we can get Spearfish and Sturgis and Lead and other towns right around you to come and hang out in Deadwood, you know what? That would help in February, March, April, and May. In October, September. And so start with that. By the way, when it comes to tourism, if you don't hang out in your own town, neither visitors, they go where you go. And if you're leaving town, guess what? They're going to be for 2 hours here for 2 hours, and they're going to do the same thing. So you start with that. Then you have more than 4 million visitors coming into the Black Hills area, specifically for the Black Hills. 2.5 million visitors a year at Mount Rushmore. And then, how do you get those visitors passing through on Interstate 90? Trying to get traffic counts was impossible, but you have more than 25 million people driving through here. How do we get them to drive that 7 miles? And then, look at that. Look at your population within a 50-mile radius. The number one reason people travel is visit friends and family. We hope that those 174,000 people, when friends and family visit them, are making sure Deadwood's on the list. And then the 100-mile radius, and then we go out throughout North America, but we have to start with that group, and put it be cool, because you know what? Deadwood, the series, is now being shown in Asia. It's being shown around the world now. It may not be in HBO, and you know what? Those people are going to start coming in here. And so that's the potential you have of who you're going to attract. And then demographically, you want couples, girls' weekends out, friends. Going to skew it a little bit younger. We really want those people in their late 20s, 30s, early 40s, And by the way, here's why. The baby boomers, which make up a third of the population, they go where the millennials go, much to their chagrin. Because boomers don't see themselves as an aging population. Matter of fact, you know what their mantra is? Okay, boomers, I want to hear it from you if you agree. You ready? We may be aging, but we are not growing old. Yeah! So if you can skew it a little younger, the boomers are going to follow. Okay? And by the way, that's your future. Corporate retreats, reunions, associations, training. One of our primary goals is, what do we do in February, March, April, May? By the way, the peak months for boomer travel is April, May, September, and October. And here you are still stuck with the Memorial Day to Labor Day mindset. You got to get over it. Stop it. And so, you know what? You're not going to be a convention destination and it's not because of Deadwood. It's because just getting to the Rapid City Airport is very expensive and difficult. I mean, most of our crew live in Seattle, and it's 2 stops to get here. I live in the Phoenix area, and it's still 2 stops to get here. John is flying home to Seattle via Minneapolis. I'm going to Denver. Some other guys are going to Salt Lake City. And so you're never going to be a big conference destination, but look at all these. You know what SMERF is? Social organizations, military organizations, educational organizations, religious organizations, and fraternal organizations. Small meetings, retreats, team building efforts. You know what? I'll bet you the South Dakota Automobile Dealers Association probably hosts some training every year. Wouldn't it be cool if it was in Deadwood? And so, and United Way, you name it. Okay? And then specialty tours, educational groups, and then families. And by the way, these are in order. Okay? Psychographic, people looking for a vibrant, active, fun destination with a mix of recreation, history, and especially nightlife. Here's another thing. People spend the night when there's things to do after 6 o'clock, particularly conferences and conventions. Nobody will book a conference, a convention, a retreat because you have a facility here. They book it because at the end of the day, there's something to do besides gaming. I'm not throwing gaming under the table, but you have to add to it. So there you go. That's what we're looking for. And then visitors looking for gaming that can be mixed with recreation, stunning scenic culture, and history. So even if they're coming here for gaming, they're probably going to want to do something else while they're here. So that's what we're looking for. Then we compiled what we heard, began the filtering process. And so we did all of that. I always say, always do what you're afraid to do. And I'm going to tell you what happened. The final brand direction candidates were this: adult-oriented entertainment. We're not talking about brothels. Life of the Wild West party. That's not our slogan, but that's kind of, this place was a party. And gaming, entertainment, concerts, all of those kinds of things. But really geared towards the evening hours. Because you know what? As much as I love Rapid City, and they do some great things at Main Street Square and everything, there's still nobody in the Black Hills that really owns the nightlife. You do for gaming, and you do some great concerts and things like that. We need to put it on steroids. That was number one. Number two was recreation. Can we build our brand in recreation? Just so you know, the three most overused words in the world for tourism are outdoor, recreation, and the word unique. Oh, come visit our unique shops and restaurants. You know, unique is so overused it's come to mean just like everyone else. And so that was number two. But the snowmobiling, world class here, when you have the snow. See, here's the deal. And then Mickelson Trail. Did you know we started doing web search? Mickelson Trail is one of the top rated trails in the world. In the world. You need to put that front and center. And then the skiing, downhill skiing primarily. You've got it right up the road. Promote it. And so then the third candidate was history. And that was bring it to life and raise the bar. Because you know what? Here's one thing you have to understand about history. Historical attractions are always a complementary activity, not the reason we came. Now, they're going to come because of Wild Bill, Calamity Jane. They'll come here because Deadwood, the series, whatever it is. But here's the point. Once we go down there by Four Aces, take our picture with Wild Bill, and then we go through the Adams House, we go through the Adams Museum, we go through the 76 Museum. Once we do all that, guess what? We've been there, we've done it. Why should we ever come back? Did you know that the Smithsonian, the greatest collection of museums in North America, 85% of the people that go through there are in Washington, D.C. for another reason? Payoffs, corruption. No, I'm kidding. But they're in Washington for another reason. But while they're there, they are an absolute must-see destination. Isn't that amazing? And so, can you bring it to life so it's not static? And you're doing that with some shootouts and some things. Can we even raise the bar on that? Those were our three final candidates. And so, once we started to narrow this down, we have to do a brand leadership team. BLT, that's our sandwich club. We don't know who this is yet. But before we're done, if you like this direction and you want to be a champion, you let us know. We are looking for this group. Who's going to push this forward? Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful community people can change the world, and indeed it is the only thing that ever has. That was Margaret Mead. And when odds are 1 in a million, be that one. And then finally, what do I got? There we go. Here are your brand leaderships. If this is you, let me know. They must be 100% enthusiastically behind the brand. So what you're going to see, I know you're getting anxious. What you're going to see, if you think this, if you say, well, you're not on this team. If you go, I think that's okay, not on this team. If you go, yeah, that's the coolest thing ever, you're on the team. And so, number 2, they must be doers, not directors. We need this small group of people to go to Kiwanis, to Rotary, to go to the school board, to go to the city commissioners, to go to state tourism, to go to Department of Transportation. They're going to be out there. They're doers, not directors. Not people that are going to attend a meeting once a month and then leave it up to somebody else to do. This is a plan that we're not going to say, oh, Kevin, add this on your list of stuff to do. Wrong. It's a standalone thing. Number 3, they need to be willing to take some hits along the way, because I guarantee you not everybody's going to agree. To make Deadwood work, we're going to have to really be edgy. Okay? They will be brand cops. There's a look, there's a feel, there is a slogan, there's a tagline. We want to make sure that we protect it. We want to get, even for Deadwood, your historic logos, everybody's using a different one. Granted, they're all historic, which is great, but they're all different. And so we need to get everybody on the same page, pulling the same direction. And more than half should have a vested interest in the brand. What that means is that we need the private sector to lead this effort, not top down. And number 6, they are the voice of the brand. That's what I mean. We're going to go out there and sell it. And not politically divisive in the community. By the way, they can be elected. But we don't want people that are so divisive in the community that they lose credibility and the brand loses credibility. And then 8, they will be a steering committee for things like wayfinding signage, which is one of your top things, and other projects that are going to come out of this. And they will push the agenda forward and never take no for an answer. And finally, at least half should be under 35. So how many of you just now went, crap? Now, okay, so we'll push it, 45. How's that? But here's the point. The only reason I say that is the future of Deadwood runs in its youth. We want it young. You know what? And it doesn't mean that if you're 55 or 60, that you don't count or that you don't matter. We want to make sure the young people are at the table because they are the future of Deadwood. Make sense? So, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. That's my life's motto, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Nothing. And that's who we're looking for. So, here's the motto of True Champion. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside. Wait, get me back there. But rather skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride! Right? It was hard to find pictures of people under 35. But that's what we're looking for. If this is you, let us know. Okay? This is Alpena, Michigan. Population a little bigger than you. It's 10,000. That's Jeff. This is Missy. This is our brand leadership team. They're really pumped. And the thing is here is that Jeff, I pushed the wrong button there. There we go. Stay there. Is that Jeff up there and Missy are the two that are pushing this whole thing forward. Because there's going to be lots of people today say, I want to be part of that. And then after a time, what happens when the bricks guy goes and leaves and the enthusiasm starts to wane down? We need people to carry the torch. And by the way, I'm trying to find where my pointer is. This is a new little clicker, and I don't even know where the pointer is on this thing. And see this guy right here? He will also be a pretty good champion because that's her husband, and he'll do whatever she says. And so, we have a few there. And then, this is in Edmonton, Alberta. See the guy, the second from the right, right there. His name is Steven. Then we got Murray up there in the center. Those two are pushing forward. Usually what happens is there's 1 or 2 people that can push this forward, and we're looking for those people. It doesn't matter. Rob, see the guy up there in the top middle, a goofy-looking guy? Great champion. Barb down here. She's actually a city employee. She's just gung-ho for it. And so that's what we're looking for. Here's Kenora. This is the mayor front and center there. He pushes his weight around. But he's a great champion. Allison up there on the right, our young person there, we need a few of you. Number 6. What's the product that backs us up? So let's talk about that. It's going to include a wayfinding system. By the way, Deadwood's already working on a wayfinding system. They're waiting for us to show you what's it look like and so we put it in place. And that's making it easier for people to come into Deadwood and find parking and get themselves around and oriented. And wayfinding is for vehicles and it's also for pedestrians. So that's on the top of the list. Business Nick's recruitment. Here's a statistic for you. 70% of all retail spending, visitors and locals, happens after 6 p.m. Are you open? Now you know why everybody heads to Spearfish Walmart. They're probably open till at least midnight, if not 24 hours a day. 70%. We need business open after 6, and you need to recruit a different business mix downtown. I mean, I've been shocked that there isn't a cool little coffee shop, a bakery downtown. We'd love to see your #1 TripAdvisor rated, chocolate shop. We'd love to have them downtown. But anyway, this is part of that. And then number 3, retail beautification. That is making downtown stunningly. I'll give you another statistic. So you got one, 70% of all consumer spending takes place after 6 p.m. Here's the second one. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. Come on, guys. I'm waiting for the guy. Usually there's a guy in the audience that says, that's all? 80%. Here's the third one. 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. You have a few shops downtown that do a good job, but 80% of them do nothing. No beautification. We all travel. Have you ever said these very words? That looks like a nice place to eat. You know what? If I would have stood there in front of those 250 people watching that 2 o'clock shootout, if I would have stood there and asked them, how many of you think that there's more than 5 restaurants downtown on Main Street? I'll bet you nobody would have raised their hands because they're all hidden behind slot machines. There's no signs. It's funny because Jordan and Ashley and Greg got here Monday before we got here. John and I's flight was delayed a couple hours. And they were driving up and down Main Street, couldn't quite figure out what was open, what was really dining. And there's a few little of them. You know what they ended up doing? They ended up eating at Papa Murphy's. And no offense to Papa Murphy's, but they're in a gas station over here. And so we need to make it more attractive and then bring downtown to life. Man, you got to do this. And I'm not just talking about 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We're talking about all the time. Public restrooms downtown. Here's a little signboard for you. Relieved visitors spend more. True? Public restrooms downtown. And then portable visitor information center. And redevelopment of your visitor information center that you have, which there's some drawings up here. They've been working on it already. But you know what's really cool now for visitor information? Wouldn't it be cool if we could take one of those wagons from downstairs in the 76 Museum and actually make it a portable visitor information center? So during 76 days, it's there. During maybe, depending on what event is where, you actually move. Wouldn't that be cool if that wagon was right there on Main Street when there's things going on Main Street? And you have staff in that wagon. You might even have a flat panel TV. You're having brochure. You know what you do these days with visitor information centers? You should still have your static one over there because it's the trolley stop, tour stop, everything. But beyond that, we'd like to have a second one that goes wherever the people are. So if there's a convention going on up at the lodge, you know what you do? You take the visitor information center up there. Or if it's happening right here, you bring the visitor information center here. During the rally, it's going to be noisy in a couple of weeks, you bring it right smack downtown. You take it where the people are. Wouldn't that be cool? Because 99% of the people here, including me, have no clue what you have to offer. It was eye-opening every day this week. So, that's one of them. A downtown gateway when you come to Main Street that says you've really arrived. And then a downtown Wi-Fi and music system. And that music system, Ron, are you being a rabble-rouser? Go ahead, Ron. Try to pick the right button there, Ron. I know it's there. You can get it. He was on our committee. We've been giving Ron a bad time all week. And so I sit on the board of U.S. Travel Association, which is the National Association to Promote Travel in the United States. On the board with me is Randy Garfield, one of the top 3 executives at Disney. And I asked him, I said, I took our grandkids down to Disneyland last winter. And I said, I got a question about Mickey, Minnie, Daffy, Donald. They're walking around and people are always go up to you. If you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, go up and you take your picture. He said, Roger, I already know where you're going with this. I said, where am I going? He says, they are our social media icons. People take their picture, and within seconds, they're on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, everywhere. Flickr, you name it, they're everywhere. Wouldn't it be cool if in downtown Deadwood, you had Wild Bill, full-time employee Wild Bill, dressed up, a great actor, and not just during shootouts, but all day, him and 2 other characters wearing a tin star, or even not a tin star that just has a badge that says, "Ask me anything." You need to have ambassadors, and they need to be those photo opportunities all the time. And they're walking up and down Main Street. They might be over at the 76. They will not just be up and down Main Street. They will be over on the other side where the visitor center is, at the train depot. And they will be everywhere. You need to make it that way. You need to make those social media icons. And if you put Wi-Fi downtown, you can put signs that say, "Get your picture, Wild Bill, Calamity Jane, or a sheriff, or an outlaw. Get your picture taken. By the way, we have free Wi-Fi downtown. Post it right now." Social media is the cheapest form of advertising. And as that word spreads, man, don't make people wait till 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock, whatever. So that's what we're talking about. Music system could be zone. So in one zone, if we don't have street performers out there, you can shut off the music. Another zone might be open. Right now what you do have some business with music, and you have conflicting music. And then a central gathering place. I'm going to talk about this for a minute. People, the heart of a downtown, your plaza is the soul. And so, we're moving to the European standard. We are eating later at night. We are shopping later at night. We want this. This is Italy. This is Siena. This is the age of third places. First place is the place we live. It's our home. The second place is the place we go to work. And the third place is the place we go to hang out. Starbucks built an entire brand out of creating third places. You have one third place, saloon number 10. Seems to be where most of the locals hang out. At least that we've seen this week. After 8 o'clock, it's the place that's busy. We need more third places. This is Rapid City. Look familiar? You know what we told them in Rapid City? That old Sears building, pigeons were living in there. I mean, it was a nightmare. I said, tear down the Sears building, take this whole thing, get rid of the 60 parking spaces there. And by the way, even in the parking garage, I want you to add a third story, but that's just to make up for the parking, because we're going to lose the parking on the bottom floor because we need public restrooms downtown. See what I mean? And so, when you tear that out and put a plaza there, people went berserk. How dare you take away the parking? What the heck? Ray Hildebrand. Ever heard that name? Called me up. Roger, I have Prairie Edge. And I just want to let you know that we're not taking down that building because I just bought it. And I gave the city $1 million to build the plaza. Very smart man. That is now the most expensive real estate in Rapid City, and he owns it. That is the power of a plaza. And of course, you've been there. This is what it looks like. I mean, during the summer, there's what it looks like in the winter. Guess what? Downtown Rapid Destination Rapid City, Main Street Square, makes $130,000 a year just renting ice skates. And, it's pretty awesome. That's actually bigger than Rockefeller Center. They're working on making that place active 250 days a year. Because what makes downtown work? Not merchants, people. Merchants will follow people. If you can get the people of Spearfish, Lead, Deadwood, here in your downtown, merchants are going to flock in and you're not going to have vacancies. Same thing here. There's no vacancies in downtown Rapid City. It works. You know what I called Rapid City when I first went there? I called them the hole in the middle of the donut. Because 4 million people go there, stay in a hotel, they get up in the morning and they come here. They go to Sturgis, they go to Hill City, they go to Mount Rushmore, Crazy Horse, Badlands, the Pinnacles, Custer State Park, on and on. Then they come back and just go right back to the hotel room. Downtown was dead in the middle of the summer. But you know what's cool? Look at this post. Look at that, movie night. You know what it says down there? I grew up in Rapid City and it was never as cool as it is now. Did you know that within 2 years of when they built Main Street Square, the average age of a person buying a home dropped by 12 years? The youth were coming back. And so, downtown businesses, you know what happened is I came back a couple years ago. I did the Great American Road Trip, by the way, with my wife. We drove it. I went to Dan Seffner that runs it, and I said, Dan, give me a list of the people who were fighting this. Give me a list of the naysayers. And so he gave me a list, and so I went into them, and I would go into the merchant, and I'd make a face. I'd say, you know that plaza over there? They didn't know who I was. Do you know what that plaza over there is? Does that really help your business? I'm waiting for them to give me a negative every opening they can. Every single one of them, that's what they said. Every single one. There was no complaints. You know, as a matter of fact, I was supposed to meet the folks at Main Street Square when we were on our road trip. I was 15 minutes late because I had to park 2.5 blocks away, and there were so many damn pedestrians everywhere. They just smiled at me and went, we're so glad you're late. So, no retail vacancies, lower turnover. Business is now open later in the evening. Many of the businesses have broken sales records and continue to break them, and the average population is dropping. And look at that. Because people hold meetings and stuff. If you want to fill your shoulder season Sunday through Thursday, you need to do this. And they're coming here because there's something to do after 6 o'clock. Look at that. Not bad. So, a true plaza is the central gathering place with lots of seating areas, a year-round activity center, includes interactive water features, is programmed. Building a plaza and doing nothing with it will be just dead space. It includes a stage and audience areas, it incorporates retail food, we got to put it, plazas must be monetized. Okay? And so, they're an investment. And we went out and researched all of these. We could not find one single community that did a plaza. And we're not doing that. And you know I'm going to recommend a plaza. And I'm going to recommend it in a place that's going to be controversial. We're working up in Edmonton, Alberta, in this little area called Old Strathcona. And this used to be a gas station. And we thought, man, if you want to be a cool place to hang out, what can we? There is a dirt level. See that old building back there? And we thought, man, if you're standing on the corner up here, that little, you can see this corner right down here, that's where that area is, that dirt. That is going to go from this to that. So where could we put one of those in Deadwood? By the way, you see there's a by the way, even Rapid City said, gee, I wish we would have listened to you because they did some mistakes. Number one, and no offense to the architects, they said we had architects design it. Plazas need to be about people, not architecture. Their stage is too small. You know, as a matter of fact, Main Street Square is so popular, it's too small. And so where do we do that? Where it's got the amphitheater, the staging areas for public markets, where can we do that in Deadwood? And that's where it should go. You know where that is? See that building? CenturyLink. I'm going to be waiting for the phone call because I don't think we approached them first. That is Main Street. That is Mustang Sally's right there on the corner. See, the conversation's already starting. And we would be closing off that Main Street and taking that. See this right here? This is, by the way, I wish I had a pointer that worked here because I don't know where this pointer is on here. But that's the parking deck back there, just to give you your bearings. And
you said Mustang Sally's?
it's a, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So let me see, does that? Nope, that didn't do it. I know this thing had a pointer on it, I just can't find it. And so, let's see, maybe this is it. There we go. There is Mustang Sally's. This is the parking garage. So there's the Bullock Hotel, and this is Wall Street, and is this Lee Street? Lee? Yeah. And so we thought if we could close, by the way, people said, why don't we just close off all of Main Street? No. You only close off your streets when it's so busy you have no choice. But if we could close off a block, and by the way, a stage would go right here. So this could be all kinds of performance areas. We'd have vendors. Look at all the stuff that could happen there. And then we would put a transit stop right there for tour buses and at both ends. So let me go another step here. Why this? Oh, I see. It kicked me out of the presentation, didn't it? Next time I won't use a new remote. If we sidewalk cafes, vendor booths. By the way, you should have 10 or 15 restaurants downtown, all with sidewalk cafes. You need to animate your downtown. And movies on the plaza, reenactments stay there, enthusiast shows. When I talk about enthusiast shows, it could be quilt shows, pottery shows, motorcycle shows, classic car shows. It could be all kinds. Anything that's enthusiast. They want a place to host them. You know what? On Tuesday, I was downtown. We were eating lunch at Mustang Sally's. And right after lunch, I was walking around downtown, and 30 Corvettes pulled up. They all pulled in the parking garage and everything. I thought, oh my gosh. So I went to Kevin and said, Kevin, I think we should go find these people in the Corvettes and go find somebody and say, hey, you guys are all here with your Corvettes. How would you like to park them on Main Street? Just park them along Main Street during your show. And Kevin said, well, I'd have to go to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. And about a week later, we could tell them to do that. Actually, he didn't say the last part, but that's probably true. Guys need to be more mobile. You know what I mean? They would have loved that if they could have put their cars on, and they would have been all on Main Street. They would have been all over the place. So, ice in the winter, splash pad in the summer, stage productions, you name it, competitions. How cool could that be? Tour stops would be at both ends, so the tour buses can get around. By the way, just so you know, the way this thing would work is that there would be bollards that would go across the street. So delivery vehicles can get in there from like 7 to 10 in the morning. They go down. Emergency vehicles still go down and get into the plaza. But then the bollards pop up. You know what the round things that come up on the street. And then it would be closed to vehicular traffic. You're closed to parking already. And so let me go another. If you're, so there it is. There's our host, we hope. And it's just an idea. We hope they'll play. Our crew is from Seattle, where it is CenturyLink Field, where the world champion Seattle Seahawks play. Just I'd mention that. Yeah. We have Bronco fans here? Anyway. Of course, in Seattle, they call it the Clink instead of CenturyLink. But you know what? We hope they'll be good players and good sports. Because you always want your plaza. And by the way, we looked way down by a Silver Star. Could we do it there? We looked over the train depot. Could we put it there? But with all that traffic going by, you don't get a sense of intimacy. By the way, we looked everywhere. And we thought, boy, this place could be full of sidewalk cafes and everything. And by the way, is it Purple Peacock? Madam Peacocks. That would be the most valuable real estate plus the building over here in all of Deadwood. Yeah, well. So if this is it, there you go, there's most of Main Street. Here's the idea. Right, by the way, this is ideas. Nothing's done, nothing's set in stone. We're just giving you kind of advance. This is the direction we're heading, because we have not talked to CenturyLink first. But if there was ever a dream, ever a place, you know what? 2/3 of that building is empty. It's a switching station. Other than, and by the way, we want the jewelry store. It is a jewelry store, right? We want that store downtown. We're not trying to kick out any merchants. We want them. We just got to find a different home for them. So I want to make that really clear. We're not trying to boot anybody out. We even want A&T here. We even thought, man, I wonder if we could put the switching station somewhere and give up a few parking spaces. We want to be players. So, if this is where it's at, wouldn't it be cool if Main Street became one way? Wouldn't it be cool? Right now, from the building from like Hampton Inn all the way across to the other sidewalk is about 63 feet wide. A typical traffic lane is 13 feet wide. What if we gave a 20-foot wide driving lane? You know what you could do? You could extend your sidewalks out so they're like 20 feet wide. You could have outdoor cafes out there. You could have more entertainers. We'd love to see storytellers. So we're not counting this area out. If this was one way and we could have nice wide sidewalks, they could host more people, more shows. And you know what's funny is when they get up here, guess what? Boom! They're led right into the parking garage, which sits mostly vacant most of the time because most people don't know it even exists. And it generates revenue. I mean, they go right there. And by the way, I know this is a one way the other way, but if they want out, they can go that way. So we just switch that street around. Makes it really easy. But man, wouldn't that be cool? They come up and they're just led right in the parking garage. Guess what? I guess we better get out. Yeah. You know what? When you get people out of their cars, they have 4 times greater chance of getting them to spend money. So, and then maybe this is 2 ways, from there, because so they can get in and out, out of these streets and get over to the other side. So it's an idea. But man, it could be powerful. It would be activated. They do ice skating in Rapid City about 120 days a year. That splash pad is going another 100. There's 250 days right there. Then you bring in vendors and food trucks and musicians and entertainers and whatever else, the quilt shows. You start inviting clubs and organizations in. Place is going to be hopping. So those are just a few of the product development things. You know what? Now we're writing the brand promise. This is what we want to do. This is the promise that Deadwood needs to work on, delivering on. And we got to figure out, how do we make Deadwood different? How do we make it memorable? How do you get it to evoke emotion? Whoa, or yeah, or whoa. How do you get people to say, oh my gosh, yeah. So here's the brand promise. We promise our guests a rip-roaring, fun-filled, good time every time they visit the stunning, historic Wild West town of Deadwood, life of the party since 1876. Thank you. Now that's not written in brochures. That is the mantra. We need that over on City Hall on a wall. We need to have everybody memorize that we're promising our guests a rip-roaring, fun-filled, good time every time they visit. So if I'm here in February, are you going to fulfill that promise? I was here in February. So we can't use this until you deliver on that promise. Okay? Remember that? Remember that thing? Remember what it said? Historical town, gaming, and fun. You know what we're saying? History should come first. That is who you are. But that history included gaming even back then. See what I mean? You've been the life of the party. Gaming and then fun. Why can't we wrap them all 3 up? And include the recreation. That's what we need to do. 250 days a year, there needs to be something going on here. Something fun. And you know what? It doesn't have to be a big production. It could just be a street musician out there. It could be that ice skating. Whatever it is you do. The water feature. It's just something going on. And that's what you have to do. You can recruit outside events. I'm going to show you this little story really quick. This is in Solvang, California, Central California. It's a town of about 4,000 people. I was there doing an assessment like I did for you in February. There was this car show going on. And I was walking around and I saw all these people here, tons of people everywhere for this classic car show. And then I saw this. It said, First Annual Solvang Wheels and Windmills Car Show. And so it's a Danish town. There's a windmill in downtown. That's why they did that. So I found the organizer of the car show, and I went up to him and said, I got a question for you. Why did you bring your car show here? I thought he was going to say, well, because it's a fun, touristy Danish town. He didn't say it. He said, because the Chamber of Commerce sent out letters to every car club, every motorcycle club, every quilt guild, every pottery guild, and invited us. I said, that's it? Yeah, they just invited us. He said it was like a half-page letter. I said, did they say they'd give you money? He said, no. I said, did they say they'd give you anything? He said, yes. They said they would hang up signs around town welcoming us, and they would block off a couple of sections of their main street for the event. I said, that's it? He said, yeah. And I said, well, what about like porta potties? He goes, oh, no, we did all that. I said, who did all the marketing? He said, we did all the marketing. I said, who got all the vendors and did all of this? I said, we did all of it. I said, how many people did you bring in? He said, 10,000. And I said, so when did it start? He says, well, we got here Thursday night. We filled up half the rooms Thursday night, all of our vendors and setup and everything. Our car show ran Friday, Saturday, until 1 or 2 in the afternoon on Sunday. And I said, so you brought in 10,000 people for 3 days? And he said, how's it been? He said, oh, they've been great. It's a great town. We've had great fun. Businesses stayed open for us in the evening hours. It's been great. I said, so what are you doing? He said, yeah, we've booked this weekend for the next 10 years. All you do is have to ask. They'd love to come to Deadwood. Are you kidding? You have the most intimate downtown in all of the Black Hills. It's hard to hold an intimate event in downtown Spearfish. And no offense to them, I like Spearfish. But you know what I mean? That big, huge, wide boulevard, they don't have that intimate setting that you have. Same with Hill City, all the other places, Keystone. So what you do is you get these books and you invite them. It doesn't cost a lot of money. So here's the bottom line with that banner and promise. We need to make a bold statement. Word bold. We need to claim it. You need to own it. Evoke emotion. We're going to raise some eyebrows. You need to make it memorable. I know everybody's going to take out their cell phone cameras in a minute. It's okay. You elevate yourself above the fray, and you do stuff like that.
Very nice.
What do you think? Go ahead, take pictures. So last night, we were working right in this room. About 8 o'clock last night, I printed that out, and right across the hallway in the pool were 3 families with kids. I printed out, I walked over there. There was a first couple, was right around 40 years old, and they had 3 kids in the pool. And I asked this question. I said, you know, you're here with kids, and I forgot to ask them where they were from, but they were from out of state. And I said, if you're driving down the freeway and you saw this billboard, would you still come to Deadwood? Or would you say, no way? And he looked at it, and his wife looked at it, and he says, you know what? He says, I hope my kids wouldn't see that billboard. But I said, but would it stop you from coming? He says, no. So then I went over to the next couple, and I said, same thing. And I said, so if you saw this billboard, would you bring your kids? And they had 2 or 3 kids in the pool. I said, would you bring them? Would you still come here? And he says, yeah, why wouldn't I? He said, that is Deadwood. And I said, where are you from? Sturgis. I said, okay, well, that's kind of a given. And he said, I wish that was our tagline. Then I went to the third couple from southeast Nebraska. I asked them the same question, and the guy said, that is so cool. And I said, but let me ask the boss, the wife. She goes, no, he's right, that's cool. So you know what? You need to get attention. You need to do something that people are going to take notice, because you know what? If you ask me what's on the 500 billboards between Rapid and here, I don't know that I could tell you what's on any of them except a bunch of slot machines. You need to get attention. Look at Las Vegas. We do a tremendous amount of work for Nevada Commission on Tourism. In the 80s, they started to market to families. They wanted to get rid of the Sin City brand. Circus, Treasure Island with the sinking ship, the roller coaster at New York, the Stratosphere, all about kids and family. Instantly, 6% decline annually. After a couple of years, they said, if we keep going down this path, we're going to die. They refocused on entertainment capital of the world. They don't even mention gaming anymore. You go there for Cirque du Soleil, you go there for Penn and Teller, you go there for all of the entertainment, and by the way, you'll do gaming while you're there. Gaming, because it's in 48 or 50 states, has now become a complementary activity, not the primary reason for most people. Their marketing is 100% to people over 21. They do no marketing to kids, and they spend tens of millions of dollars a year. They now host 40 million visitors. You're the second most visited destination behind Orlando. 40 million. On the Strip, their gaming is up to $6.5 billion. That's just on the Strip. Las Vegas, Clark County, how about $9.5 billion a year? Now, we just want to get you to the first billion. I'm just kidding. But you know what? I think you're like, where's Mike? 100 million. And by the way, for a town of 1,200, woohoo! But you know what? It could be 200 million. Now, that does not mean we're putting the entire focus on casinos. Because you saw that billboard, there was no slot machine on that. 10% of their visitors travel with kids today. Now, you may say, well, that's only 10%. That's 4 million families. So I know people are going to say, if you do that, you're going to kill the family market. No, not true. You cannot be all things to all people and win anymore. You can't. You should be the place where it really comes alive at 4 o'clock through the night. So, and by the way, this is what their ads look like. Some Comcasts only take a weekend. I mean, notice they're young. Here's another one. Always go to bed early, at least before noon. I mean, look at this. Do you think they're trying to compete with Disney? You know, I mean, what the heck? That's a full-page ad. It wasn't in Parenting Magazine. And you know what? They had the best campaign in U.S. history. It's not about casinos. It's about kick-ass fun in Deadwood. A couple people on our committee are pretty religious. And one of them, and I won't mention his name, came up to me and said, you know, Roger, I thought about that. You know, I just don't have a problem with it. It's on the edge. That's where we want to be. So, what's it look like? This is where you have to go in, and we want simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Simple. Not cluttered, not all things to all people. It's got to be simple. And these are only concepts. As a matter of fact, a lot of the photos you're about to see weren't even taken in Deadwood. A couple of them were, a lot of them weren't, because we just don't have the photography ready. I mean, if we're going to show people in casinos, how do you set them different? And the Celebrity Hotel does a good job, because you know what they do? They show, if you go to their website, on the little opening video, everybody in the casino is wearing a Stetson and, you know, the Old West vest. At least they made it different, and they made it casual. And so these are just concepts. And so there's one. What do Wild Bill Hickok, Calamity Jane, and you have in common? 2 of them have been Deadwood, and when you get here, it'll be a true trifecta. You know, and so once again, history first. It's who you are. You know what? I'll bet you that most of the people that come to Deadwood are coming here because of the name. Play it up. Okay? So, let me show you another one. Rip roar and kick-ass fun. You know, or rip roar and kick-ass fun. By the way, that wasn't taken in downtown Deadwood. We got to get that picture. You can burn the town down to the ground. You can wash it away down the gulch. But no matter what calamity befalls this legendary town, nothing can take the spirit from the brave Wild West souls that still call Deadwood home. It needs to be about you. It's home to the stories, the people, and the rip-roaring fun that have made Deadwood a legendary experience. So pack your saddlebags and make tracks to the stunning, historic Deadwood. Come join the party, paint the town red, and see what all the fuss has been about since 1876. That is the core message. You okay with it? All right. Desperado, bandit, marauder, gunslinger, and outlaw, introducing the top 5 professions in Deadwood circa 1876. We actually did a better one that actually we added prostitute and prospector, so we could get all 7 of the top professions in there. But with advertising, you always want to grab their attention. And those words are going to grab their attention. And by the way, notice what we did up there at the top corner? Rather than make it blatant, we put the little teaser, because that is the bread and butter that's feeding this town. It doesn't have to be blatant. Desperado, bandit, marauder, or outlaw. Which will you be? See what I mean? Yeah. And you're already doing this. I mean, I took this picture the other day. A Deadwood adult comedy at the Wild Bill Killside, the Boardwalk debacle, and on there. You're already starting to do this. It's like, come on, own it. Do it. No more panty wasting around Deadwood. Number 9, develop the action plan. That's what we have to do next. Branding. What do you want to be known for? Kick-ass fun. Development. What do we have to do so you own it? Marketing. How are we going to tell the world? And it's going to be an action plan. We don't believe in strategic planning. It's going to be a 30 to 50 page to-do list. And the chamber's going to have a list. Historic Preservation is going to have a list. The Commission is going to have a list. DOT is going to have a list. I mean, you name it. Who am I missing? The museums are going to have a list. Deadwood Alive is going to have a list. Everybody's having a list. So, and you know what's cool when you do this? This is Deadwood now, isn't it? I mean, you have all these silos here. And when we do this, you're going to go from that to that. That's cool. Especially for Deadwood. Had to use a stagecoach. And so, City of Deadwood might look like that. That might look like that. And some of you are saying, well, that's not that much different than what you had. Of course not. You already had this brand. It took somebody from the outside to tell you to get off your duff and do it. And to figure out how we incorporate the recreation and everything into it. But you need a similar look and feel, And by the way, sometimes you might want to say, if you're already marketing in South Dakota, you can identify yourself as the Black Hills. But if you're marketing to people in Japan that don't know where the Black Hills is, it's South Dakota. You know what we found out when we were working in Rapid City? 70% of Americans didn't know what state Mount Rushmore was in. Couldn't believe how many people thought it was in Michigan or Virginia. Guess what else? 90% of Americans, when you say the word Sturgis, say motorcycles. And those 90% don't know what state it's in. They heard Sturgis, yeah, where is that? Because you know what? Sturgis, Kentucky, right? Is that right? There's no more than one Sturgis. And by the way, they do a motorcycle rally there too. Bill knows. His daughter lives there. So, by the way, you never will ever see a logo all by itself. You always sell the experience first. You notice the logo is always down in the bottom right-hand corner? It's about the experience, and it happens to take place in Deadwood. By the way, we are going to play with the logo that came with the HBO series and just see if that'll work. So none of these things are final yet, just so you know. Number 10, you got to make something happen. You know what would be really cool when you're coming down the highway? When you leave Interstate 90, wouldn't it be cool if every 1,000 feet on each side of the highway there was a pole banner? That guy is 6 feet tall. Wouldn't that be cool? What you're doing is you're creating a sense of anticipation as they start getting closer and closer to Deadwood. That we got the legends, we got the outlaws, we got the law, we got the gold. We couldn't fit the word prospector on there. We could do a whole series of those. Wouldn't that be cool? It's about the history first. Wouldn't that be awesome? We're going to need a lobbying effort to get DOT to let us do that. But it can be done. It'd just be cool. Create a sense of anticipation. Wouldn't it be cool if your wayfinding might look like that? Deadwood. By the way, Outlaw Plaza, I don't know what's called. That's just our temporary name we put in there, but we want to make it fun. I gave Rapid City back, Main Street Square. Come on, you guys. You can be more creative than that. But, we just do wayfinding. Make it look Western. Make it look cool. By the way, it doesn't even have to be wood, but it can look like it. And so, just some ideas. Number 11, you got to keep the energy high, and you can't fold to the naysayers. There will be naysayers, I can guarantee you. You know what? If we did a milquetoast brand, everybody would be happy, and it would be ineffective. So, Forget all the reasons why something may not work. You only need to find one good reason why it will. Why should we close off that block of Main Street? Why should we take out that AT&T building if they'll let us? Somewhere we're going to put a plaza downtown. And it needs to be where the merchants are. You know what? I even consider putting, where the depot is, visitor center, and you got the Adams Museum, and you got the post office. We thought about making that whole thing a plaza. Problem is you can't monetize it. You know what I mean? We need the outdoor cafes and retail and all that. And that was our challenge there. But nothing's off the table. You cannot fold to the cavers. Anybody here know what cavers are? You ready? You probably don't have any in Deadwood. They are citizens against virtually everything. Probably got one or two, don't you? You are a Wild West town, you know. And then a diamond is merely a lump of coal that did well under pressure. That is our brand leadership team, the people that are going to push this thing forward. And then number 12, you got to tell the world. You've got to put it out there. You got to do stuff like this, or even like this. And this is a little over the top because it does run all the way around to the other side. Now, we did that just for fun. But you know what? You got to have fun with it. No place knows how to host a party like Deadwood. That's one of the messages we're trying to use. Rip-roaring, outrageous fun. We don't always have to use kick-ass, but we want to do that to get people's attention. Life of the party since 1876. We even stole a line from Prince, party like it's 1876. We just backed it up a few years. Rip-roaring good times, where the West earned the nickname Wild. Pack your saddlebags and make tracks for Deadwood this weekend. Rather than say pack your suitcase or come on over. Wouldn't that be cool? We did not design the hats that had the word kick-ass on them, but you know what? They probably outsell those about 10 to 1. Wouldn't it be cool if you had something like that, where the rifle is and stuff on the top of the wood, where you said, I had a kick-ass time in Deadwood. You know how many of those you'd sell? Oh my gosh. Wouldn't that be cool? I want one of those. We even thought about doing some earn your tin star. As a matter of fact, I should put that on the list of my measures, earn your tin star. If you ride 20 miles of the Mickelson Trail, you come on in, we'll give you a tin star. And you know what? If they do that, it's going to take most of a day. Cool. They're going to spend another night. See what I mean? Or if they can find the outfit that Kevin Costner wore in Dances with Wolves, you let us know. But you'll also have to find Bumblebee from the movie Transformers. And you have to go find, you know what I mean? You could almost do a treasure hunt in Deadwood. And you know what? They're going to be walking in casinos. They might drop a few quarters, dollars. And you know what? They're going to be around, and they're going to discover things you never had. And if you do it, you can earn a tin star, a Deadwood tin star. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't it be cool to have belt buckles? Deadwood. These are just all great opportunities for you. I love this. Desperado, bandit, murado, gunslinger, outlaw, prostitute, and prospect. There you go. There's your top 7 your professions. And so, see them come to life right now in Deadwood. I know what you're thinking. Are we bringing prostitution back? Let me tell you a little experience that I had. I was working in Nevada. We've worked in 70 towns in Nevada. I was in Wells, Nevada. Nothing's there except 2 brothels. One of them's called Donna's Ranch. I know it intimately. No, I'm kidding. And I went in there, and the guy that owns it lives in Idaho Falls. And he said, would you like a tour? Because I'd never been in one before. I don't know how they work and everything. And it was interesting. So I went in, and there was girls in there, and they all left. And then the bartender said, here's how it works. The girls are going to come out. They're going to do a lineup. And then what you do is you can talk to the girls, and then you pick one. And then she will go back and do that. So he says, so I want you to go through this process with me. And I was like, And so And so the girls came out, they just lined up to me, and I started talking to them, and there was young ones, there was older ones, there was, so I picked one, and she said, come on, honey, and she grabbed me by the arm, she took me back. Now, she did a cool thing. She showed me the whole, because she knew I was on a tour, she told me how it all worked. So rather than have a brothel museum, can you imagine if Ron upstairs in his retail business had a live place where you actually had real people and they would take you how it used to work. And granted, no, nothing's going to happen. But you know what? So you know what I did? I said, wouldn't that be cool if you could do that? And they said, here's how this used to work, and here's how it worked, and this is what the rooms look like. Because every brothel museum out there is a bunch of mannequins. But if you had girls actually dressed up in it and everything, I mean, you know what? People pay $20 for that. So I called my wife. I told her about this great idea. We are still married. And you know what she said? I would pay $20 to do that easily. I think the women would get a kick out of it. But could you bring all this stuff to life? See what I mean? Oh my gosh, that would be a never forget. Because you know what? I've been in thousands and thousands and thousands of museums. I travel 250 days a year. I will never forget that little 1-hour tour in Wells, Nevada. So, have fun with it. Bottom line, if you do these things, you'll see your tourism double or more. You could do this. You know what I've been telling people all week? You're at about 20% of your potential. And you revisit this plan where I give you every 2 months. This is not a plan you read the executive summary. It is a working document. Because this is so, and by the way, you guys are already doing stuff. That was so cool. I came in here in February, and within a month, you made your parking so it's more convenient for us. We can pay by cell phone. We can do all that. You went and did these. These are awesome. Before, you couldn't even see them. And so, of course, now it's going to be a major photographic spot. Way to go, Jordan and Ashley. Woo-hoo. And so, I love these stories. You need more of these stories everywhere. You need live storytellers on the corners telling the stories in costume. It's cool stuff. You know what? I didn't even know what this was. Well, you know what happened? John and I were downtown. We're walking back, and we're coming down the highway, and all of a sudden there's no sidewalks. We're calling Jordan and Greg back there and saying, hey, come and get us. We don't know how to get down there. I could see this little trail. I have no clue where it goes. There's no signs. There's nothing. So I said, John, you know what? Why don't you wait here for those guys, and I'll go walking down this trail, and my gosh, this is incredible. How many hidden gems do you have in Deadwood? And by the way, I beat John back to the hotel because I don't think those guys ever did pick him up. But, I mean, it's amazing what you have here. Stuff like this in the Celebrity Hotel. I was just flabbergasted. Our jaws were dropping. I mean, we just had no clue of all this stuff that you have here. Problem is, 99% of your visitors don't have any clue either. And you wonder why they're staying here 2 hours. I mean, it's amazing the stuff you have here. I mean, even stuff like this. I don't think people even realize you have these rooftop decks and dining areas and stuff. I mean, it was just, and this is stuff just this week. Even a lot of these places have all of these stories up there. We wouldn't know it. In one place we're walking out, we see all these pictures. You know what's it? It's in a back hallway next to some catering carts. Oh, that's how that works. Okay. This was just incredible. I sent this picture to my daughter who has 3 little kids. I said, if you were in Deadwood and you knew about this, she goes, I would drive from Rapid City with my kids just to see that. That is the coolest thing ever. My gosh. You know, I mean, look at it. Nobody knows. Even this, somebody could spend hours there. Now, when you walk in there, you need to monetize it because we just walk in there, go right in the corner, go downstairs, and you can pay 50 cents. But boy, if you had a little ice cream or something there, you can monetize this. But this was so cool. You have tons of this stuff. Even going into the Franklin, right? I mean, the beautiful, incredible chandeliers and the copper. This place is amazing. And you know what? We were jammed this week because every single time we wanted to go discover more stuff, we had no clue. I told Bill here he needs to stay here, you know, because he's part-time resident. I said, you need to be here and be a docent be here all day because he took us on a 1-hour tour, and we're pressed for time. And he said we just barely scratched the surface. That's how cool this is. I mean, the stuff you have here is just flat out amazing. We feel very, very fortunate and privileged to do this with Deadwood. Because what you have here is truly world class. You need to tell the story better. You need to make it engaging. You need to make it fun. And you need to raise the bar a bit on lots of things. Because it is amazing what you have here. And so, here's to the very bright future of Deadwood. Thank you so much for coming out this morning. Thank you very much.